Welcome back, you lot. We got a lot to discuss. We got a lot to unpack in today's Chelsea news. So expect this video to be a long one, but expect me to put timestamps in the video because I saw you guys' comments in the last one and I know how much of a lifesaver it is for you guys. So I got you. So I hope you guys appreciate everything, show us some love, and I'm going to put you guys on. Expect there to be a double upload out today as I'm doing a big piece on our new star signing in Joao Pedro. So I'm excited to release this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hit that like button and let's discuss today's latest reports. For the first story, we are learning some insights around the club's plans for Giovanni Quenda. At the moment, we turn to records of Portugal. A really interesting article. As we know, Chelsea have allowed the 18-year-old to finish another season at Sporting Lisbon. This allowed us to sign him for less. We know that at the moment he's been starring for the Portugal under-21 squad, but if you guys were unaware, he hasn't started a game for Lisbon this season. Out of 5 games, he's not started any. He had a really promising sub-appearance against FC Porto. So I know some of you guys are thinking, Nini, like, is this guy even going to be good enough to maybe even get a first team spot for next season? Understand what you're saying, but what we're learning from record is that right now the club are actively monitoring every detail around Quenda and his time with Lisbon. Of course, he's our future asset. We have to be incredibly careful. And we know that we are collecting many detailed reports on the player on a weekly basis. This includes things like his training sessions and how well he is performing. His physical condition is something we're taking very seriously and actively monitoring as well too. And we also learned of really interesting things such as the club not really having any set preference in terms of position they want to see Quenda actually playing in. And I guess it makes a lot of sense. You know, last season, the kid played around 54 games. He played games as a wing back down each side. He played games as a winger down each side. He's even played as a striker for the under-21s. He's shown that this is a player that is versatile across any zone on the field. And I think that's one of the main reasons as to why we signed him to begin with. But yeah, as I'm saying, I wouldn't worry about him not starting a game for Lisbon just yet. Just remember this, he's not even turned 18, he's still 17. For all we know, the coach and Borges at Lisbon has coaching reasons as to not overload and overburn the young player, especially when he's had a pretty demanding, recent last year. So I can respect that. I do feel like with his talent though, especially with the fact that, the senior guy ahead of him and Katamo has been quite mid, he'll win that spot. And it's okay for these youngsters to have a little bit of adversity to reclaim their spot. It makes you a stronger, better player mentally right here. And that's what you need when you're going to be making the step up to Chelsea Football Club, where he won't be getting a guaranteed first team spot. He'll have to fight for that position. So it's good practice in the making, in my opinion. But I got high hopes for the kids. Of course, we splashed 50 million on him. I'd be incredibly surprised if he found himself on loan at Strasbourg next season. I think this guy is taking someone's spot next season. And I think, injury permitting, touch woods, no injuries, you're going to see this guy have a successful season and really take the fan base by storm. So that's everything surrounding Quenda, you guys. Don't be worrying about his current season at the moment. There's a lot more left of the season to come. But right now, let's discuss what the hell is going on with Mykhailo Mudryk. Now, for this report, I'm going to be citing a Twitter account who did a lot of good work and just extracting all the information. But obviously it does kind of confirm things that I read back in January surrounding the potential reasoning and cause behind his ban. A lot of us have been scratching our heads and wondering what has gone down in terms of how Mudryk found himself in this position. From the report that I saw back in January 12th, which you guys are seeing on screen right here, right now, give me one sec. But they're basically saying that there was a positive test that centered on the possibility of stem cells injected into his knee during time with the Ukrainian national team. This injection may have contained the banned substance imidazonium. The cells were reportedly taken from a cow, which could have been a source of the doping. Now, if you guys remember, when Atleti played Madrid in their first CL final, there was the big reports around Diego Costa trying to get back in time for that final, and how they used horse placenta to help him recover from a hamstring injury, and he broke down 10, 15 minutes later into that game. It's not the first time that you've seen these types of odd medical procedures done, but through desperation, sometimes do details get missed. How much melatonin is enough melatonin for it to be an active issue? Obviously, it must be bad if he's been banned for it at the moment. But that was the first suggestions of maybe how Mudryk might have been in this situation to begin with. It goes on to say here, Burbas explained on his version, explaining that the substance was not administered in just one injection, but rather a series of injections given during the national team camp. This version is now the primary defense being used by Mudryk's team. No one doubts that the substance entered his body accidentally. It wasn't a deliberate action. The latest explanation adds complexity to the case, with medical and football professionals discussing the unintended inclusion of melatonin in the injections Mudryk received. Mudryk has tested positive, of course, etc., etc. I'll be honest, you guys, I felt for Mudryk. There's no way I felt this guy actively was doing anything shady behind the scenes. He wasn't even in a situation where he felt the pressure to have to kind of overperform to exceed to keep his first team spot. This guy was fighting for a first team spot. He was only getting Conference League minutes, and he was showing promise at the time, and for that to be taken away from him, yeah, I can't lie. I felt sympathy. I've always felt sympathy for what he's done. I just had this feeling, and I know it's not enough of a reason or excuse, and I'm not saying that my opinion trumps yours, but I just had this feeling that some BS had happened that wasn't really fair, because sometimes I think, the doping stuff can be a bit too strict and stringent in terms of certain guys who are getting these bans. But anyway, going back to that Twitter account that I, referred, shout out to Scout Eurasia. At the moment, Shaktar are looking to sue the Ukrainian national, FA. And that's because they're missing out on so many futures. When they originally agreed on that deal to sell Mudryk to us, they were expecting guarantees of future profits where they would earn up to nearly 90 million in total for the deal. They had that much confidence behind him because they thought this guy is the next superstar to emerge. So it's natural that they're going to be feeling a little bit pissed at the moment that this whole ban is affecting their potential to get the money they deserve. As it says here, the club argues that due to the potential suspension, they could lose up to 30 million in performance-related bonuses from Chelsea. That's a lot of money. They basically sold Sudakov to Benfica for a similar amount. Yeah, Shaktar will rarely ever sell a player for the amount of money they sold Mudryk to us. To go on though, the report also states that the president of the UAF, in our former striker, Andrey Shevchenko, may be indirectly, stress on indirectly, because he's not a medical expert, involved in the case of Mudryk allegedly using a substance containing melatonin. This information was reported by UAFootball.com, citing its own sources. According to the journalist and Burbas, it was likely Shevchenko who gave the green light for Mudryk to receive stem cell injections. Most likely, Shevchenko authorized the stem cell injections for Mudryk, since Andrei Mikhailovich uses them for himself for anti-aging purposes. That's crazy. This is what I mean. That's crazy. I'm sorry, man. Free Mudryk, bro. I'm sorry. The whole thing's an absolute farce. Come on. It's obvious this guy didn't willingly take anything without knowing. Come on. We know what goes on in Mudryk's head. At times, it's not much. This guy's not willingly doing anything to jeopardize his career at all yet. Hopefully some justice comes. Hopefully he beats his case. And if he does, I'm really curious to know what his position at the club is saying right now. Would he have a fair opportunity to fight for his spot back in the team? There's still a lot of money in this guy. Does he get a loan move? Do we look to sell him on? Honestly, I don't know. But the club have already actively prepared for a future away from him. Are they expecting that regardless of any ill matters that have happened to him, he probably will still get the ban, even though it's not his fault? I'm not too sure in this situation, man. But yeah, it's a shame. But at least we're getting a bit of insight and context behind how exactly Mudryk found himself in this situation. Maybe it might garner a little bit of sympathy that he hasn't willingly done this on purpose, of course, to get like unfair advantages. But, you know, what, stem cell injections, anti-aging, you know what I mean? Getting it from cows containing meladonium, it's all nuts. It's all mad. So what is your thoughts on this situation? Let us know in the comment section right now, my friends. But now I want to move on to discussing another interesting report around a player we thought we had a chance of signing. And we'll be discussing the latest on Ben Seghir. And my friends, we learned that on the final moments of deadline day, we had an opportunity to sign Ben Seghir. We were trying to hijack his move from Bayer Leverkusen from happening. In the end, Ben Seghir committed to the move and Leverkusen signed him for around 32 million euros. But we got an interesting report from Foot Masato, which basically cites that he could have found himself at Chelsea because a few hours before departing to Leverkusen, an approach from Chelsea put all the certainties of the international into perspective. The latter takes the time to weigh the pros and cons, even considering for a moment responding favourably to the approach of the Blues. But reasons prevails and the former Monaco player finally decided to sign for Leverkusen. So that was a really interesting story. It really surprised me. I know this guy's a big talent. Last season, at 20 years old, I think 9 goals and 4 assists. Him, Akalucci. Monaco got some borders coming out right now. And with our connections with Lawrence Stewart being the former sporting director at Monaco, I guess it's going to be no surprise that... Sorry about that, you guys. It's going to be no surprise that we are going to use our connections to maybe, you know, gain something in terms of, you know, transfer edge. Yeah, I think the guy's a talent. But a part of me also feels like, would he have got a real strong possibility in this team, right? Would we have really been able to even create a spot for him in our UCL squad? And considering how many French players at Chelsea have kind of struggled or found their difficulties, do we have much confidence that he would have maybe got a fair shot here, got a fair opportunity, got minutes? I'm not too sure. Boanorte isn't even part of our CL squad right now. And as I predicted, I couldn't really envision him getting too many minutes outside of maybe injuries creating opportunities where we have to use him. So I think Ben probably made the best decision when you're replacing Florian Wirtz, when you're going to Leverkusen, where you're going to have access to minutes, you're going to get a lot of game time there, and you're 20 years old. I think it's best for you to go somewhere where you are going to develop. I think that is the best use of this kid's talents. I want to actually put on some of his games so you guys can kind of see the type of player and profile he is. Very techie. He's a baller, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I think him and his team made the responsible decision to... Apologies for that. They made the responsible decision to not commit to the move. He's the type of guy that I would assess in another like 2 to 3, 4 years. If he becomes a star guy in the entire division, then you make a move for him. Because in leagues like Germany, you have to be, in my opinion, one of the star guys lighting things up in the entire league to be ready for that step up to like a top 4, top 5 level, in my opinion. He would have been useful. A dribbling threat off the left flank who can play as an attacking mid with clean passing, through balls, attacking threat. He's in that family of player of your Doués and co. I've always liked that type of profile, and I did say for a long time we need to add some carrying threat into the team. We looked at Simmons. I think Ben Seghir could have been a really interesting, maybe a little bit of a risk because of his age and making a big step up so soon. But he could have been an interesting profile to turn towards. I think the guy is, he's very techie. He's a very skillful player. But as I keep stressing, I think it was the responsible decision to not commit to signing for us right now. And jeopardize the potential and lack of minutes. Not when there's guys like Estevao and Palmers and Netos and everyone that will probably play in front of you. So yeah, it's just interesting to know that the club went on like pure despo mode to try and find anyone before the window closed. And my theory was always, we agreed to Boanorte as the last resort on loan, but we did still try to see if we could sign anyone else ahead of him. And if those deals went through, I guarantee we would have cancelled the Boanorte deal just like that. So yeah, I guess that kind of sums up what to expect from this guy for this season. But anyway, my friends, we have a lot more stories to get through right now. And I want to discuss a Cobham boy that's doing absolute bits and showing absolute levels right now. His name is Kavuma McQueen. I think this kid is an exceptional talent, and I'm really looking forward to discussing the next reports on him, because big things are happening for this kid's future right now. And right now, my friends, apologies for that, I don't know what's going on. One sec. But anyway, we are learning that Kavuma is set to get a new contract extension. This is big news. He's not 17 yet. He's turning 17 soon. And when you turn 17, that's when you can earn your first pro deal in the game. This news was confirmed by Nizar Kinsella. And as he says, we are set to seal the signing of the winger on a long-term contract. He is committed to signing for us on his 17th birthday. We are expected to avoid a repetition of the situation which saw Ngumoa signing for Liverpool back in 2024. He is regarded as potentially the top attacking talent at Chelsea. He is currently playing against players many years his senior in the under-21 division this season and has taken part in multiple first-team training sessions. Enzo Maresca has been watching this kid very closely. He has stole the headlines for his performances against Germany, which were absolutely sensational for the under-17s, where he bagged 4 goals, got 1 assist. You guys are literally seeing what this guy was on in that game. And for me, I find this guy really fascinating. I think his shooting is some of the best I've seen since guys like even Tino Angerin, who were also top shooters at Chelsea. I think Tino Angerin was like one of the best ones. I'm glad this guy is still doing his thing in Italy and hasn't completely fallen off. But without the injuries, man, I think we would have been seeing Angerin in a completely different light. But it does showcase that the talent the club's still producing. Reggie Walsh, Watson as well. I think this guy is a top player. When I think about potential links to guys like Adam Wharton, I think, well, you know, low key, we got some of these youngsters at the club that could be our versions of these types of players that cost us nothing. And if we can maybe show confidence in splashing millions on teen talent across the world, how are you not going to keep that same energy for the talents you see on a daily basis coming from your own football club? For me, Kavuma McQueen, actually, I might sound a bit controversial. I hope you guys aren't going to like write me off or get mad. But he reminds me a little bit of like a Mason Greenwood. In terms of the shooting is nuts. And I think his shooting is that good that he could probably perform at a first team level, in my opinion. If you got a cheeky 5-10 minute sub appearance, he's not going to look out of place. I think the guy is disciplined. I think he's a pro. I think he's beyond his age groups. The goals he scored out of this world, that left foot is an absolute cannon. It reminds me of like a Sturridge with his shooting at times. Obviously, Daniel Sturridge at the time, yeah, this guy was a crazy baller when he was younger. And the fact that he can play on the right wing and the left wing, I mean, he got the goals coming off the right wing. You know, he's producing the goals on the left wing. He's a two-way talent. He can use both his feet, even though his left foot is way stronger than his right foot. He's direct, his movements, he shoots early, he sees the game early. Yeah, we have to start championing our attacking talents. I'm just hoping in my lifetime as a Chelsea fan that I get to see a Cobham attacking grad making the step up and getting used in the first team. Hudson-Odoi teased me, and he was good for us at the time. When I was younger, I had ridiculous hopes in Charlie Masunda, Jeremy Boga. They were like some of the best youth talents I've ever seen. When I was a kid, Gael Kukuta was that guy at the time. I just was putting everything on, you know? We had your Musiales and Ngomoas who should have been with us. But hopefully Kavuma McQueen can be the guy the club takes seriously and give opportunities for, because otherwise, what are we doing, man? We're one of the best academies in the world. If you're the best attacking talent, which he is in my opinion, you got to get a lot of serious looks. You know what I mean? So share your thoughts and opinions on the news, my friends. How are you feeling? But right now, I kind of want to wrap things up and keep things moving. Let's now discuss what's going on in terms of centre-back news at this point in time. And we've learned a lot of things, but naturally, Borussia Dortmund are trying to engineer a move to sign Anselmino from us. Now, it's no surprise to me that they're already on scheming up possibilities to try and get this guy because he put in a sensational debut performance, instant first team player. Of course, he played against Union Berlin. Yeah, the passing, the defending, the reading of the game. I kept telling you guys, there's a lot of big hopes on this kid. A lot of big potential around him. He's rated highly. Muscular injuries affected him last season. He just has to play to build himself, but he must get an opportunity next season. Both footed. Yeah, I think this guy looks like a special talent, in my opinion, and there's no way that Dortmund are going to sign him, but I can see why they'll be on him. As their coach said in Kovac, I think he played a world-class game. He made a very good impression, very confident and very strong in the tackle. This is a guy that hasn't even played more than 50 career games in his career. And he's like, what, 20 years old now. This guy is a special talent. So yeah, let's watch this space and let's continue to see how he develops whilst playing for Borussia Dortmund. Another player, though, we'll be discussing is Axel Disasi. Of course, we learned that he had a move to AS Monaco collapsing in the final moments. Was this kind of tied with our ability to sign Ben Seghir? Potentially. You know how we like to do these wheeling, dealing type of deals. But he came very close. He had a big interview that came out, which I'm not going to play so I don't get demonetized. But he also discussed the failed moves to your Bournemouths, your West Hams. And we know that the Saudi window closes on the 23rd of September. And the Turkish window too. Could they potentially entice him to move? Who knows? It does seem, though, that if moves do not materialize, that Disasi will be a professional and will hope that he does get opportunities maybe to find himself back in the team. And in my opinion, I'm sorry, that has to be the case. I just don't agree with the fact that, you know, these signings get punished and ostracized for what? Because you don't want them. We can't be complaining about lack of depth in defense when you literally have Disasi who's there, who was playing Champions League football for Aston Villa a few months back. He hasn't completely regressed to a point where he's become like a League Two player overnight, yeah? Let's not go mad with it. I don't like how the club treats some of these guys like used goods that need to be thrown away, and it's like, ugh, got dirt on your hand, rub it off, like, forget that guy. Nah. And sometimes it goes to show, in my opinion, that the levels of crazy, obscene wealth in the game, where £37 million signings get written off just like that. And it's, I don't know, it personally annoys me because ultimately it affects us fans because we'll have to pay more for tickets, more for food in the stadium, more for merch. The money gets extracted from us ultimately. And this is why I get bothered by just the obscene levels of wealth that get wasted overnight. I'm sorry. If we do have defensive injuries, I'm not going to recall Sarr from Strasbourg. I'm not going to recall Anselmino. They will play until the season ends to develop. That is the whole point. I will simply use Disasi as my backup. And when Disasi is your backup player in defense, that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? That's not necessarily the craziest thing to have when you can access a player at that level as your last resort. So yeah, let's see what happens in that aspect, my friends. But right now, I want to end things by discussing some interviews from our Brazil boys in Estevao and in Andrey Santos. And they discuss their life at Chelsea Football Club and just like how they're going through the motions and how they're feeling right now. Yeah, so in regards to Estevao Willian, of course, he's capturing the fans' hearts right now. I think the guy is kind of justifying my levels of excitement. Yeah, he's really, really exciting me. We had a big interview coming out from Globo, who have interviewed all our Brazilian stars. And we learned a lot of things from Estevao. He spoke about how surprised he was at being quickly used at Chelsea. He spoke about how right now, these are the happiest moments of his life. And he spoke about crediting Enzo Maresca, saying right here, it's been very quick and I'm already having a lot more opportunities than I expected at Chelsea. That's because of the work I've done in training. Maresca trusts me a lot and I try to repay him on the field. He spoke about the physicality differences in Brazil and here in England, saying that the intensity of the game and the style are very different. In England, it's more physical, more intense. I'm still adapting, but thanks to God, it's all working out. It's important to gain muscle, but not fundamental. I prefer to improve my speed and style of play, and I'm happy to hear that, yeah? I'm happy to hear that because I remember what happened to Kai Havertz when he got put on the Hulk Hogan, Arnold Schwarzenegger diet, and he just became a completely different player. Like, this guy came in with the physiology of a Cole Palmer, and overnight he lost that. He bulked up. The way he turns, like, he looks so languid. He lost a lot of his game, being forced to do this too cool target man role, which I just did not agree with. And I'll always have question marks on Kai Havertz, where, you know, if he was kind of using the Cole Palmer way, which he should have been, because that was the role he was playing at Leverkusen, what could have happened to him? But yeah, that's story for another day, I guess. Obviously, since signing for us, he has very close bonds. Joao Pedro acts as the big brother. Andrey Santos, for the national team, your Marquinhos, Alissons, Rafinhas, Paquetas and Brunos are also helping him too. In terms of adapting to life in the UK, he spoke about how he is constantly encouraged to speak English. The Brazilian boys are onto him every single time to ensure that he communicates in English to speed up his development. He says, my English has improved a lot because I'm speaking it every day. The Brazilians at Chelsea force me to speak it as well, which makes it easier. And obviously, in terms of things like the warmth from the fans singing his name, he loves it. But just to end very quickly, we learned about how his family are also settling in London. He's visited many tourist attractions with them. He's enjoyed the freedoms of just walking around, being a teenager in a new country. And he revealed that his sister is even studying one of the best schools in England. And that makes him happy that his whole family is shining and thriving right now. But in terms of our other player, in Andrey Santos, Santos, of course, also doing big things at the moment, is part of the Brazil national team squad. And, you know, he spoke about some of the difficulties in arriving, mentioning things like, you know, I arrived very young in 2023. I went straight into our preseason squad and it was a shock of reality. I got home thinking I didn't know how to play football anymore because of the differences in intensity. I did well in preseason, but opted to go on loan. Unfortunately, I didn't play either. It was a difficult process, but I matured a lot. And maybe for us fans sometimes, you know, it's easy for us to be like, oh, the guy's young, he's talented, because I do this myself. Why is he not getting opportunities? But maybe we just don't necessarily respect just the levels, yeah, at the top that are required, and just how hard it is to maintain that, especially when you're young, coming to a new country, adapting to your body, adapting to a new language, teammates, etc., etc. Maybe that easing process of a loan spell gets you ready to come back and start producing. I can respect that, and I'll definitely have that in the back of my mind. He wanted to say that every player who arrives in Europe suffers. The hardest part is playing, because training and games are always at a high intensity. After 2 or 3 months, you adapt to the rhythm of the league. That's when you show your potential. Today, I feel I've adapted. Personally, I think that there's still a bit more to come from him. I think he's given away a bit too many fouls. The tackling looks a little bit clumsy at times, but he's just getting to grips with the league again. But you are seeing those improvements for sure. I thought his cameo against Fulham was a lot better, in my opinion. Of course, he spoke about his time at Vasco da Gama, what they've done for him. He spoke about the support he received in France. They made it clear I was just there to get minutes. Every 2 months, someone came to visit. Scouts, directors constantly sent messages to make me feel part of the project. And of course, in terms of things like you know, joining us for the Club World Cup, my choice was right because every player dreams of playing in Europe, but one of the biggest clubs in the world comes with money to solve your life and your families. You can't say no. So yeah, you know, Chelsea Football Club, he has no regrets and he's very happy here. And I think we're all very happy with him too. And we're happy to see how he develops. Both these guys in Santos and Estevao. So my friends, that's all the latest reports. My longest news video I've ever done. I'm going to timestamp the hell out of this one. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you later today with another uploads. Love. Cool.